plant we've ever built in the history of the company, 6 square miles, to build all-electric trucks in Tennessee. We have a battery plant on site. It will be a carbon-neutral manufacturing site. We have 2 more battery plants in Kentucky. All total, about 1 million vehicles worth of batteries we'll build in the 2 locations.
Answering for their blundered Afghanistan withdrawal, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley, and Head of the U.S. Central Command Kenneth McKenzie are set to testify before the Senate Armed Services tomorrow. USA Radio News.
Remember when California was the Golden State? Not anymore. Soaring crime, overregulation, and high taxes are forcing taxpayers to flee. Now, Newsmax's Rob Schmidt looks at what happened in his special series, California. It's over. Rob walks on the Reagan Ranch with Governor Kristi Noem, and he talks to the insiders and reports from Los Angeles. Find out why you need to be worried, because California's mess may soon be coming to your state. Watch Rob Schmidt on Newsmax at 10 p.m. Eastern. Newsmax is on every major cable system. Just check your cable guide. If your cable system doesn't carry Newsmax, call your operator or switch to a service that does. Get Newsmax on most streaming services like Samsung, Roku, Pluto, or Xumo. Or download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. It takes just seconds, and you can watch us anytime, anywhere. California's nightmare is spreading. Watch Rob Schmidt on Newsmax tonight.
The search for Brian Laundrie.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. Peanut farmers this past year exported about a third of their crop, about 30%, to countries around the world. The pandemic had a major impact on that, and China came to the forefront and bought about 30% of the peanut crop, mainly for the purpose of making into peanut oil. But now that market is weakening somewhat because China's in the middle of harvesting their crop, which will bring in a big supply, and prices have gotten a little high, and so they're pulling back. The scenario of lower prices and buyers focusing on just spot lots rather than schedules is going to impact the number of buys this year for American peanut farmers. Peanut processors in China say they are focusing on purchasing domestic crop first and worrying about finding of containers. Sea freight fares have all gone up and will be higher in the long term, they said, and that will likely cut exports for not only raw shell peanuts, but for peanuts going into peanut oil. The crushing plants are still receiving imported peanuts right now, but they say that will be cutting back in the near future, and peanut farmers are worried if that might affect their crop this year and moving into next year.
Cooler weather is on the horizon, providing a valuable opportunity to deworm your cattle with Safeguard. When temperatures begin to drop, parasite activity on the pasture declines as they prepare to take a break for the winter. That's the time to clean out those summer and fall parasites with Safeguard so you can feed the cattle and not the worms this winter. Available in blocks, cubes, pellets, or free choice mineral, Safeguard feed formulations are the convenient, labor-saving way to deworm cattle. Remember to consult your veterinarian for assistance in the diagnosis, treatment, and control of parasitism. See label for feeding instructions, meat withhold, and milk discard.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. Support us at 4h.org.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy and a high of 85 to 89. Then partly cloudy skies tonight, low 66 to 69. Wednesday and Thursday both will be sunny to partly cloudy. Should be nice days. High on Wednesday 85 to 87. High on Thursday 85 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Lauren Carr, College of Central Florida Corporate College, will be Tom's guest on Wednesday, September 29th at 10:30 a.m., discussing higher education happenings. She will share how employers can support their team members through customized training that benefits their company, and also affordable training programs on everything from Excel to leadership training. Again, that's September 29th at 10:30 a.m. The College of Central Florida and your friends here at WOCA The Source provide this information to let you know what's happening at the College of Central Florida.
That's right. It's In the Garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. She's taking your calls all morning. Anything relating to your garden, your plants, your grass, your shrubs, anything that grows in your yard in the dirt, Carol Ann can help you with. 622-9622 is the number to call. Carol Ann, I woke up this morning and thought, Carol Ann's got to be happy this morning. It's 66 degrees.
Oh, chilly.
Nice little dew on the ground.
That's cool.
But it means that there's a change, and so now you get to talk about all the changes that will be taking place in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and actually we've had I've been lucky. I've been on vacation, and it hasn't rained.
It has not rained.
Has not rained. We've had gorgeous weather the last week, and it's
now the humidity's gone.
Humidity's gone, and humidity was down. At least during the mornings. It's still getting fairly warm in the afternoon, especially if you're out in the sun, kind of thing.
Yeah, still getting 87, 88 degrees.
I mean, it's September. It's supposed to.
I woke up this morning. It was 66
Oh,
degrees.
it was
I was
cool.
like, why did we not have the windows open?
Yeah, that's actually because I when I woke up, it was like, you know what? I didn't lose the blanket last night.
No,
it stayed. That comforter stayed up to my chin. And now wearing long sleeves. Though they're light. They're SPF shirts.
But what does this do for plant life? Because we know
it gets us out in the yard.
But we know it's cooled off.
Yeah.
We know in another week it's going to be hot again, and plants are going to be like, is it summertime again? Is it springtime again?
We're sort of in it. We're not quite into that cooler season plant material. We're still, your warm season stuff is still going. But it gives us a chance to get outside. If it's like, okay, I'm going to replant this bed of annuals in the next few weeks with some cool season annuals, I can go ahead and begin to clean it up.
Yes, because it's workable outside.
It's workable outside. You've got more than an hour and a half at sunrise. I'm
not going to be able to get out. There's some things I have to do in the backyard.
Yeah.
Some fencing and stuff that I have to do. I'm not going to be able to get out of it soon because
because it's
cool enough. You can get out there in the day and work.
You can get out during the day, even if you need to take that. Even if you find that it's too warm for yourself in that midday, the afternoons are cooling off. It's getting nice. Of course, it is obviously fall is here on the calendar. So the days have gotten a little bit shorter. Humidity's down. See, people don't realize this is fall for us. This is fall. Days are shorter. Temperatures are a little cooler. Humidity's way down.
Right.
We're not getting the rain, and I know I heard on a weather report that it even kind of looks like maybe we've hit the end of the rainy season already, which isn't necessarily the best thing, but we'll get through it. Yeah,
right.
It's a couple weeks early.
But it was such a wet, rainy season this year.
I don't know. I feel like in certain areas that it might have been a little bit below average.
Where I was at. In the northeast side, it rained plenty.
And see, I had times where I heard of friends up a little more to the northeast or northwest side that had deluges of rain, and I'm going, where's mine?
I'm talking about deluge.
Where's mine? I'm just sort of a little bit north of Bellevue.
But you're right. I have a friend of mine that lives in Oxford.
Yeah.
That he feels like he's been down on the rain this year.
Right. And that's the same, where I've heard, whether Hugh has called in saying, oh, yeah, I had 2.25 inches. I'm going, I barely had enough drops on the sidewalk to make it look wet.
I knew that it's been a while since it rained, though, because I had to water my mom yesterday.
Yeah. We are having to get out there. Anything containerized. Most of the stuff in the ground is pretty good. But, now we have to, again, pay attention to those containerized plants and even some of the ones that are a little more sensitive in the landscape that need a little more water. Just remember to water deeply so that you're not out there every day. You want good deep roots. You want that water to run out of the bottom of the pot and then even wait 5 minutes and give it another shot of water and make sure that all that soil is wet.
I talked to my lawn guy yesterday. He comes out on Mondays. And I go, so you got to like that the rainy season's gone away and you can catch up now. He goes, what I'd like is for the air to stay cooler a little more so this Bermuda realizes it needs to stop growing. Because lawn guys, even though it's cooled off a couple of days.
Oh.
Your lawn hadn't realized it's cooled off.
No, and it's not cooled off enough to slow it down.
No, it's not
really.
going to put it dormant.
It's not going to go into a dormancy. Nothing in the yard's going to go into a dormancy. We were just saying, they finally did a little bit of the property maintenance here. They haven't gotten to the back yet. So maybe that's coming, but here we're at the end of the growing season for most things. And I mean, when I mean growing season, it means you prune and within days you're seeing fresh buds coming on and you're fleshing out all new growth. And for us, we don't ever really stop growing, but certain things they do go into that semi-dormancy. They do begin to drop leaves, but that's not until we're a little closer to that first frost, which is November. So we still have another, almost 8 weeks or better, or a little less than 8 weeks before that first frost date shows up for us. And
that's not to mean we can't get a frost before
then. No,
it
doesn't mean
we can't. But that's the average date that shows up. That's the
average for our area is about the 15th of November. I don't think they haven't moved it, and they shouldn't, in my opinion, because weather is cyclic. Right now, I mean, it was, I think a memory had popped up the other day that it was like 7 years ago that I was complaining it was 58 degrees. Yeah. That was 5, 6, 7 years ago. So it's like, okay, we've been this cool and that there was a record that was set, and it was probably, 8 to 10 years ago, where it was in the mid 50s, at a wake up hour. And so this is not unusual. It's just it comes on our weather kind of quickly. It's like boom, suddenly guess what? It's fall. 2 weeks ago it was 75 degrees in the morning when we were waking up, and now we're 65 degrees when we're waking up in the morning. Not that I don't think too many people are going to complain. It's wonderful to be able to go sit out on the porch with your. I'm not a coffee bean drinker, but I drink my hot tea, and I can go sit out there and have my cup of tea, and in the morning, and it's not oppressive. First thing, the humidity's been good.
So the daily high temperatures right now are supposed to be from 89 to 85 in our area, rarely falling below 79 or exceeding 93.
Right, at this time of year.
Daily low temperatures go from 72 to 68, rarely falling below 60 or exceeding 74.
So we're right in that middle. I think our highs have been about 85-ish this last week, and our lows being 66, 67 degrees. Well, maybe 69, but that's not too bad, not too shabby for here it is. And people say, this is the weather that brings people down here. That in January when it's still weather like this and they can come down.
People ask as I'm looking it up on Google, one of the questions that come on Google, can you go to Florida in September? I mean, if you like hot weather, sure you can.
I mean, September, but it's not hot.
No.
It's pleasant right now. I mean, it actually, you can still go in the water. The surf temperature has not dropped.
Right. So
the lake temperatures, you can still go enjoy the lakes and rivers without a jacket. You're still watching your sunscreen. You still have to watch for. Actually, you need to watch your hydration now more than in the summertime, because in the summer we get hot. We think, oh God, I need to stop and get a cold drink. Now that it's cooler, we go, oh, I can keep on pushing through. I'll take a break in an hour, where we should be carrying that cooler with some water with us out there in the yard. And making sure we're staying hydrated, because we're not sweating quite as much, and so we forget to take that couple-minute break and consume water. So make sure, if you've got people who like to get out in the yard, children, elderly, anybody, even yourselves, make sure still have their water going with them.
The coldest day in recent history, in this part of September,
for us,
was in 2008.
Okay.
In 2008, the low was 50, 4 degrees.
Ooh. Yeah.
But that was at 7 a.m. that morning.
Yeah.
By 6 p.m. that night, 87 degrees.
Yeah.
But that was in 2008.
That was a cold front.
Ago.
That was a cold front that blew through, and probably the weather for a few days after that was probably wonderfully gorgeous. Like, and that's it. We have great time of year. I wouldn't be running out and buying the rest of the summer annuals to, unless you really have something you go, I just have to have some color here in this spot, only because your fall annuals will begin to come in. Mums are here. You can keep the mums alive. My biggest thing with mums is, and I think everybody says, mums like water. Mm-hmm. And the soils that they're grown in at the nursery are more a commercial mix that is set for, it gets water on clockwork. And obviously at home, they don't.
No.
And so I usually let people know is, well, if you're going to get them, even if you're going to put them in the yard, in the ground or in your pots. Well, water, but also take off a lot of that soil, a lot of that mix that they've done, and put better stuff. That's going to hold a little bit of moisture, because those soils seem to, when they dry out, they shrink up, and then it's almost impossible to get them wet again. It's hard.
It's like a tumbleweed down there.
Dirt-wise. Yeah, it becomes it
almost flakes off.
Yes. So my thought is, go ahead and you have your good soil, that whatever brand you like, or whatever mix that maybe you have come up with that's good for your landscape or your pots, and take off that. I mean, you can incorporate some of that back into the soil, so you don't need quite as much, but it'll then be mixed in. It won't be something that's gonna be dried out lump.
Is this the time we start? I'm not saying weatherized to where you actually cover things up, but is this the time you start putting like little stakes in the ground that'll help you cover stuff up, that because you're going to put the visqueen down and stuff like that?
No visqueen.
Well, you know what I mean, but blankets and stuff like that.
You could, or you might want to make sure that you've got them.
Right.
If you've got
Just
them in the
prepared,
shed.
know where they're at.
Know where they're at. Some of the stores, I think, may have been, all I know is my store have frost blanket in already, or we brought, because some came in and we actually had people asking for it. It's like, it was early September, so we ended up bringing what we had down out of the top stock, and so we have it. But yeah, you think about what you're going to use to cover those plants that your tropicals that are more sensitive.
November will be here quicker than you think.
It will. We've got, it's less than 2 months before first expected frost date. So it's one of those things. Well, I spent the last week, I was on vacation playing with plants. I put some plants up into some bigger pots and got some stuff moved around. I had bought a couple plant stands, kind of going, okay, I know who's going on those when it needs to get cold. Also think that if you've got some things that are more sensitive just to the cooler weather, it might be the idea of going, where is this going to live in the house for the winter? Not taking it in and out, because that can be just as much shock to the plant as just leaving it in one place. They don't acclimate to the indoors very quickly. It's going to take them a week or two. So if you bring it in, say we've had these wonderful 65-degree nights. Your house is set at 68 to 72 maybe, depending on how cold you like it. So you're now bringing it to where it's a little bit warmer again, and then you stick it back outside where it's going to be a little cooler, and daytime temperatures have been 85. Your house is 74. It's chilly in there. It's going to take them a little while to acclimate. So if you have any plants that will need to come in to live for the winter, and I'm not saying bring them in next week. You might be looking at October.
But start getting the spot ready.
Did they need to be potted up? Did they need some fresh soil? Have they had a pest issue?
Mine comes in the garage.
Yeah.
And my garage is also where my dryer vent is.
So
my garage is warm year round.
Yeah. And if it's attached to the house, it's insulated.
Right.
So it's usually pretty good. But yours goes in and out.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
I
goes
bring
in
Mom
and stays?
in. She just stays.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any kind of in and out.
No.
I
not
cover
like the
I
cat.
cover the trees up with blankets.
Right,
and all, but
right.
Once Mom's in, she's in.
She's in for the winter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good morning. You're on with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning, Hugh.
Say, talking about putting plants in pots and stuff like that. About a year ago, when I moved from Silver Springs to East Ocala here, as a moving gift, one of my neighbors sent me a plant. It's got 4 different variety of leaves on it. Very nice little plant. And this is the plant that I called in about, maybe a couple months back because I was overwatering it.
Okay.
But right now it's doing real good. So it was doing so good that I went over to Lowe's and I picked up a nice new big pot and with some nice soil, and I transplanted it into this larger pot.
Okay.
Now, this is about 4 or 5 months back, maybe further. Now it's growing. It's up to 2 foot high now and a foot and a half across.
Nice.
Now my question is, if this thing is turning into be a wonderful monster, taking up a lot of room, and if I stop transplanting it to a larger pot, will it survive and just stay happy where it is?
For a while. I mean, it's if you've put it up into, how big of a pot do you say you went from? What was it, and what did you put it into? Do you know?
Oh, I would say the pot was maybe like 8, 10 inches and about maybe 6, 7, 8 inches high. It wasn't a real big.
Okay.
It was just a nice size.
Right. And now
But
it's in.
Now it's in a pot that's probably, I would say at least a foot and a half high and about a foot and a half wide.
Oh, it'll be happy in that for several years.
Well, I tell you right now, it's up to the height of the highest leaf is 2 feet off the bottom of the pot and a foot and a half across.
Yeah,
so
but
it's growing like crazy.
Yeah, because it got that nice fresh dirt which had fertilizers in it. It has room for its roots to grow, but there's plenty of room in that pot. It should be good in there, I would say, for minimally 2 years, if not more.
Yeah, the instructions, on the label said it was definitely an indoor plant.
Okay.
And it should be by a window where there's a lot of sunlight, and that's where I have it, and it seems to be very happy there. Oh. And I was just wondering, I mean, if I wanted to, this plant could keep growing and growing and growing, right?
I'm not sure which plant it is. I mean, most plants have a height that they get to, and they do stop getting taller. Sometimes they'll get wider, things like that. And even if they stop growing taller and things like that, they occasionally do need either a larger size pot or to be taken out, lifted from that pot, soil removed, fresh soil put in, just so that it has nutrient. Plants do use up what's in that soil over a period of time, but it's not 6 months, it's not in a year. It actually takes several years for it to fully use things up because you used a commercial mix in there. It had fertilizer. It's good until next spring for any feeding, any fertilization, and at that point you could use one of the slow release fertilizers, the Dynamite, the Osmocote, something like that, and that way it's it'll feed it again for an extended time without forcing a whole lot of new growth. I mean, without making it become a giant.
Yeah, there's no way I could transplant that outside, and then when we do get a cold spell, take care of it, cover it up, and so on. It would be just not good for the plant, right?
It depends on what the plant is. I would have to actually see it or know what the plant is.
Yeah, well, I know. All I know is there's 4 different kind of leaves.
It didn't have a tag in it. It didn't have a tag in it that said what it was.
Yeah, but I threw it away.
You're not supposed to do that.
I know.
Snap a picture and send it.
Yeah, it fell on the floor, and the vacuum cleaner got it. One of those deals.
Gotcha.
But anyways, right now I'm very happy with it. But like I say, it's turning into a beautiful monster. And I can't really. I don't want it to get any too much bigger.
Right.
I had to locate it because then you got one window where I get full sun most of the day.
Yeah.
And it's very happy right there. So. Okay, so I guess I can figure on a couple more years of happiness with this.
Certainly.
probably have a plant funeral, I guess. I don't know.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay, nice talking to you,
Thanks for
Gary,
calling,
guys.
Hugh. Yeah, thanks for calling, Hugh.
Okay.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and that's the key when you repot a plant. You want to make sure that you repotted a plant in a pot that it can survive in.
Right.
But you don't want it to get out of control. You don't want to put it in a pot that's going to be so big that the plant gets out of control.
Or not just that, usually we don't want to put it in a pot so big that it looks lost.
Like that peace lily of mine. If I'm going to the next size pot up.
Right.
Which is fine.
Right.
Because it's outgrown the pot it's in, which is a pretty big pot. The pot it's in is 12 inches across, so it's in a pretty big pot.
That's not super huge, actually. No. I mean, when he said, because he's going, this is about 18 inches.
Well,
so
maybe mine's 18 inches across.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like this deep.
Yeah, usually when they measure pots, they measure it in what the top is.
Right. Well, maybe this was 18 inches across. I know it's this deep, but not like that.
Yeah, that's probably 18.
And so it's got to go into a bigger pot.
So you're looking at a 20 to 22 inch pot.
Right,
maybe.
but if I put it, somebody told me that if I put it in a 30-inch pot, it'll look lost for a while, but it'll eventually grow into that 30-inch pot.
It will fill that pot out. But like he said, he
Peace lilies grow and grow and grow.
They're gonna grow. Right, they're gonna grow and fill it. His plant, he's not sure what it is. It went from the pot that it was in, where it was grown, into this nice new pot with nice fresh soil. So of course it grew. That's what it was supposed to do. And it's going to be fine in that pot for years. And like I said, if he doesn't want it to get a whole lot larger, the best thing to do is if he could snap a couple pictures, either send them to the In the Garden page or send them
Tom at WOCA.
Tom at WOCA, and let us see what it is, and I can better tell you whether or not it might be able to go outside for a good part of the year. If it's simply a house plant, or does it need to stay in a pot, or could you put it in the ground? But in a pot, plants will survive in that same pot for many years. You just have to then say the pot he put it in, say in about 3 years. It might be lift that out, knock off some of that dirt, get some fresh mix, put some fresh in the bottom, put it back in there, fill that back up, and redo it. You just refreshed that soil. Because it doesn't get the additional rains and things like that help to keep plants. But even outside, a lot of times your pots they seem to run out of dirt. They use it up. They use up dirt. Really
they definitely
easy.
take all the nutrients out of it.
They do take all the nutrients.
They get food out of it that way.
Right, and that's and we try to replace that using fertilizers, but it's not always the same. But I would say on indoor potted plants, the slow release fertilizers are fantastic. You use them twice a year, and they're not gonna jump up and outgrow the pots, but they're gonna stay healthy.
Right, and the fertilizer is perfect for what you need at the time.
Right.
It's not too much, not too little.
Right, and being with them slow released, it releases each time you water. It's giving them a little bit, and they're much happier that way.
When we come back after the break, I want to ask you about some cleanup that you need to do, some maintenance you need to do to make sure things stay healthy, because sometimes if you don't do them proper maintenance, things can suffer as well. Even though they look good, they can still be suffering. We'll talk more with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin after this time out. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
The Ford Motor Company made a major announcement Tuesday morning on Fox News. CEO Jim Farley says 11,000 jobs for electric vehicle manufacturing are coming to Tennessee and Kentucky.
Well, we have a big announcement. It's a new Ford. It's show, not tell time. We're going to hire 11,000 people. We're going to build the biggest plant we've ever built in the history of the company, 6 square miles, to build all electric trucks in Tennessee. We We have a battery plant on site. It will be a carbon neutral manufacturing site. We have 2 more battery plants in Kentucky. All total, about 1 million vehicles worth of batteries will build in the 2 locations.
Answering for their blundered Afghanistan withdrawal,